send the other songs.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 612. It's Tuesday, December 31st, 2013. New Year's Eve, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Internet talk radio for your imagination. Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer, plus the return of the segment, Do You Know Dat, where we look at some of the bizarre things that happened in our culture this year. Mike's Daily Podcast. And I have to say that this will probably be the last podcast, I fear. Mike's Daily Podcast. Yes, Mike's Daily Podcast is coming to an end. I have decided to end it here at what would apparently be the end of the year. That was a bad year for me, I must say. I mean, it could have been worse, but I decided, what the hell? I'll complain at the beginning of today's show and tell you that it's the end of the show, but it probably won't. Mike's Daily Podcast. Yes, I know I put you through an emotional roller coaster just now. So don't you love this Mike's show daily? Don't you wish it podcast would never go away? It probably won't. I'll probably keep doing this after everybody stops podcasting because they realize how stupid it is. You know, it's funny. You tell someone I podcast and they go, oh, okay, is that sort of like a video diary? And then you put it on YouTube, and then everybody looks at it and laughs at you? Yeah, but this is an audio thing, so they don't actually have to see me, and we save both of ourselves the embarrassment. So New Year's Eve, yesterday, I took a little walk in San Francisco. I took Bart over there from Podcastro Valley, California, walked along the Embarcadero. It was packed. It sounded something like this. Yeah. I don't even know what language that is. What are they even saying? No, this is at Pier 39. You know, I was there about, 6 months ago. There were no sea lions there. Now it is packed. And they're like swimming around. They're practically doing tricks. I saw one like jumping out of the water a couple of times. It was better than SeaWorld without the Republicanism views. My last trip to SeaWorld was really political for some reason. Oh, look, who just walked in. Hello, my God, is it Chely Shoehart, the shop supervisor? I'm like really upset that you toyed with my emotions at the beginning of the show. Because you thought I was going to end the show? Yeah, I don't want the show to end. I like coming here every day, and I like trying to sell all the snow globes, which are actually alien pods. That's right, Mike Matthews. I sell them in the gift shop. Do you have any snow globes that have sea lions? Snowing sea lion scenes? Mike Matthews, please don't make me try and say that. Come on, you know you want to. Okay. Snowing sea lion snow globe scene. Close enough. Look who else just walked in. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, you realize those sea lions came to that special area at Pier 39 after the bad earthquake in San Francisco in the late 80s. Yes, John Deere, those were the only two good things that came from that earthquake. The sea lions coming to Pier 39 and getting rid of that horrible freeway system they had that went along the Embarcadero. The Embarcadero is so nice now. So many people walking along it. A fun thing to do, although it is a bit of a walk, is to take the BART to the Ferry Building. That's the first stop it does when you're coming from the East Bay, is at the Embarcadero. And you can walk from the Ferry Building, which has all kinds of cool stuff inside of it, all kinds of shops and restaurants and things. And it's old and neat looking. And you can walk from there all the way down to Fisherman's Wharf. Along the way, you pass the new Exploratorium, which you can walk all along the outside of it, and there's all kinds of little displays and exhibits outside of the museum that are free. And, of course, the views from all of those places are so nice. Mike, that sounds really romantic. Why don't we go do that sometime, John Deere, the engineer? Please put me down. You know, today's show has to do with culture. And there is a strange thing going on in our culture today, and that is we're moving away from television and watching shows and movies through Netflix and through other things like Hulu And it's just an on-demand world. And the old ways of, I need to get home by 8 o'clock so I can watch my favorite show, that's done. Because now you can watch your favorite show whenever. And on many different formats. Well, Netflix is testing a cheaper subscription for new customers as the online video company prepares for what likely will be another competitive onslaught from Amazon in 2014. Oh, by the way, another piece of culture news. I think we're finally ending the 2000 in our year. As we get into 2014, I think we're all going to stop saying 2014. Because, it's okay with 2012, 2011. Now you're going to be saying 2014, 2015. Too many syllables. Actually, it's the exact same amount of syllables as 2013, 2011. Wow, that was an extra syllable in 11. What is Mike saying? I think we're going to be saying 2014 more in 2014. That's my guess. But I might slip from time to time and say 2014. Anyway, I'm definitely going to slip writing that first check of the year to whoever or whatever that is. I don't know, but I'm going to definitely write that as a 2013. I know that right now. Netflix, the biggest video streaming service, is offering a plan for $6.99 a month that lets people watch on only one screen at a time. The company's basic streaming service currently costs $7.99 a month and lets customers watch on two screens at the same time. The new offer, which was posted on the company's website, is part of a broader set of test subscriptions for new customers based on how many screens they use to access the service. The company is also testing a $9.99 subscription for viewing Netflix on as many as 3 screens simultaneously, and it has had an $11.99 4-stream plan available for a while. Netflix is trying to increase the revenue it gets from subscriptions to help it buy more licenses to stream more movies and TV shows and pay for the creation of its own content, like it did with the very successful TV shows this year, Orange is the New Black and House of Cards. It is also competing with the Amazon video streaming service included in its Prime subscription. That costs $79 a year and offers free 2-day shipping. Apparently, Netflix has the data to show how many households stream on a single device, and they are probably weighing the lost revenue from those households converting to a lower price plan against the revenue gains from charging for multiple devices. I use multiple devices. Well, that's what's weird is I never watch a TV show or a movie through my iPhone. I only watch it through my Vizio flat screen that has a Netflix app in it. However, that Netflix app that's on the Vizio does not let you browse movies very well. So I'll browse the movies on my iPhone and then watch it on the Netflix on the flat screen. So I don't know. Is that worth the extra $1 a month? I'll have to decide. Mike Matthews, I know what you can do with that extra $1 every month. You can buy me a cup of coffee. For the price of a cup of coffee, I could buy you a cup of coffee? That's right, Mike Matthews. You said my name correctly. I know, but it was hard. Well, let's take The Last Place on Earth. Let's launch it and land at the Netflix headquarters. They're in the Bay Area, so it won't take very long to land there. Let's see, we can land right there. Let's land The Last Place on Earth there, John Deere. Don't tell me what to do. All right, we're landing. Or I should say crash landing, as we are wont to do. Hey, Netflix owner guy, I always forget his name. You really are doing a disservice by having a bad app on those Vizio machines. I can't navigate it very well to find the movie or TV show I want to watch. And so why don't you take $1 off my bill every month so that you can fix that problem? Hey, Mike, it's Chris Hardwick from the Nerdist Podcast. I want to tell you that the Netflix is a stupid way to watch things. You should watch cable all the time. Watch my show called After Midnight. It's called At Midnight. After Midnight's that country program with Blair Garner. How did he get here? Let's leave. Launching. Somehow I feel that trip was made in vain. Let's land. I mean, crash. Let's ask some people here at The Last Place on Earth what they think about this whole Netflix thing. And if they miss Quickster. That was the thing Netflix wanted to change Netflix into, was Quickster. Do you remember that? Anybody remember that? How about you, sir? What do you think? Oh my gosh, he's a sea lion! Who let all the sea lions in here? Who let the sea lions in? The last place on Earth? So, thank you. I think, all in all, we're pin a pet of the game. What do you think about that horrible joke? What do you think about the Netflix thing, doing the fight between them and Amazon and all that? Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also, email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show. mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. There's a website that we have called mikesdailypodcast.com. You can go there to listen to the show. We have Mike's Daily Podcast players there to listen to the show. Also, we have there links to where to find us on iTunes. And you can subscribe to the show in iTunes. If you rate and rank the show in iTunes, more people will find out about us. Another way to have people find out about us is if you like us on our Facebook page. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, I post it right there onto the Facebook page. Share that with your friends so that more people will find out about Mike's Daily Podcast. Also at mikesdailypodcast.com is the blog, the daily podcast picture, the Amazon deal of the day. If you click on that and buy something, that's another great way to support this show. Also, you will find where to find us on Twitter, Yelp, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and YouTube, all there at mikesdailypodcast.com.
It's Bison Bentley's Do You Know Dat?
Hey, this is Bison Bentley, and Mike Matthews has a couple of stories that'll make you want to ask yourself, do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know that? Yes, it's a question that our very own Bison Bentley likes to ask. And then it's a question we should all ask ourselves. Do we know this about the subject of culture? And this story about books.
I'm giving you a long look every day, every day, every day, every day I write a book.
The number one selling book on Amazon is written for 8 to 12-year-olds, according to the Wall Street Journal and Alexandra Alter in an article she wrote. That book is called Wonder. Middle grade books have become a booming publishing category, fueled in part by adult fans who read Harry Potter and fell in love with the genre. Recent hits include Rick Riordan's mythology-tinged fantasy books, which have sold some 35 million copies. Rachel Renee Russell's Dork Diaries, which has 13 million copies in print. And Jeff Kinney's Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which has sold more than 115 million copies. The 8th and latest book in Mr. Kinney's series, Hard Luck, which came out recently, sold more than 1 million copies in its first week and had a massive printing of 5.5 million copies. The growing appeal of children's literature reflects a broader cultural shift as the taste gap between generations collapses. Pop culture today, from frothy hit songs to clever Pixar movies, increasingly caters to both parents and kids. Hip urban parents ride skateboards, play video games, and eat gourmet popsicles while their children check their cell phones and sports skinny jeans. Rock bands like They Might Be Giants and Bare Naked Ladies have released children's albums, and the Sundance Film Festival recently announced that it will start screening children's movies. It used to be that kids would emulate what their parents were reading, and now it's the reverse. Blockbuster novelists like John Grisham and James Patterson have launched children's book series in recent years to extend their reach, often bringing their adult fans along with them. Neil Gaiman, author of best-selling adult fantasy books like American Gods, says that he's often surprised and slightly chagrined when adults read his children's books. This fall, at a London reading that was meant for middle-grade kids, Fortunately the Milk, he was unnerved to see that the crowd of 2,500 people was mostly adults. Some children's book authors are deliberately shaping their books for adults. Jeff Kinney, who writes Diary of a Wimpy Kid, he says he envisioned his illustrated books about a middle school kid named Greg as a wry cartoon for adults. His publisher convinced him to target kids, arguing that the sassy young narrator would appeal to children and adults would follow. Also, many children's books covers have gotten more muted and mature looking. better for the self-conscious reader to pull out on the bus or subway. The stories themselves have grown longer and more complex. Middle grade authors are tackling tougher and more realistic themes, making their works appealing for adult book clubs. Sharon Draper's best-selling middle grade novel, Out of My Mind, is narrated, for example, by a paralyzed girl with cerebral palsy.
Let's get physical, physical. I wanna get physical. Let's get into physical.
Speaking of getting physical, in July, nearly 300,000 people tuned in live on ESPN2 to watch 26-year-old Rich Frunning and 31-year-old Samantha Briggs win the Reebok CrossFit Games, the last two standing after outmuscling 138,000 global participants in 3 rounds of competition. For their efforts, they walked away with $250,000 each and the title of Fittest on Earth, at least according to CrossFit in this article in Outside magazine by Grant Davis. There are now roughly 10,000 CrossFit branded affiliated gyms, or what they call boxes, around the world. But behind the competitive puke-inducing workouts is a growing list of injured participants, many of whom suffer from telltale injuries like slipped discs, torn rotator cuffs, and knee tendinopathy. Robert Hayden, a Georgia chiropractor and spokesman for the American Chiropractic Association, says he has noticed a rise in CrossFit patients over the past 2 years. Quote, among my colleagues, we often share the anecdotal observation that CrossFit is good for our practices. Most workout of the day routines are what they call WODs, include Olympic lifts like squats and power cleans, which require near perfect form to prevent undue strain. Newbies rarely have the stamina or guidance to maintain that form. Combine that with the high number of reps, and it's a recipe for injury. If you have any pre-existing condition, an old ACL tear, tendon damage, or slipped disc, this kind of exercise will bring it to the surface, says Hayden. This isn't the first time CrossFit's been in the injury spotlight. Early on, it earned a reputation for being so intense that it could induce rhabdomyolysis, a potentially fatal condition in which muscle tissue breaks down and is released into the bloodstream. But this time the focus is on musculoskeletal issues. This summer, the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research published a study showing eye-popping fitness gains among CrossFitters, with participants in a 10-week program boosting their VO2 max by roughly 4 points. But the study also revealed a troubling statistic. 16% of the 54 participants had quit the program due to overuse or injury. In 2011, the U.S. military, in conjunction with the ACSM, advised soldiers to avoid CrossFit, citing disproportionate musculoskeletal injury risk. CrossFit's chief scientist, Jeff Glassman, the father of CrossFit's founder, Greg Glassman, wrote a 92-page rebuttal to this that attributed the rise in injuries in part to fatigue from the war on terror. The organization CrossFit goes out of its way to warn people that if they can't maintain proper technique, they should back off. But backing off is a hard sell for many participants who view the workouts as a competition, especially now that the CrossFit Games are so popular. Participation is up more than 400% since 2011. Practicing good technique, working around your weaknesses, and staying within your limits doesn't always happen when you're stampeding to beat the next guy. If, however, you approach CrossFit as a sport, complete with cycles of increased workloads and periods of rest and recovery, not to mention an off-season, you can develop a much healthier approach.
Today I don't feel like doing anything.
Yes, Bruno Mars. Well, this was the year of not doing anything and not trying too hard, according to Joel Stein from Time Magazine. I love this article. It asks, did you spend 2013 not getting stuff done? You're in good company. He says, remember 2012 with all that running for president, jumping out of the stratosphere to break the speed of sound? Well, this year, the leader of the free world was the leader of not trying too hard. Instead of last-minute negotiations to prevent this sequester, we sequestered. Instead of last-minute negotiations to prevent the government shutdown, we shut down. He drew a line on Syria's using chemical weapons and then decided that enforcing red lines is much harder than drawing them. After years spent working to pass the Affordable Care Act, the Obama administration delayed implementation of its plan because it felt that it was too hard to make a website, something that hundreds of teenage One Direction fans are capable of. Even the Tea Party didn't try too hard. After 16 days and no concessions whatsoever, it reopened the exact same government it had filibustered to close. Congress passed fewer laws than in any other year in American history. Pope Benedict XVI gave up. It wasn't even clear that the Pope could quit, and yet he only gave 17 days notice. Fact-checking's a lot of work, so 60 Minutes decided not to do that for the Benghazi report. Neither did The View, Today, MSNBC, or CNN when they tried to illustrate the moral failures of young people by reporting on a viral video of a girl lighting herself on fire while twerking, and that video turned out to be a Jimmy Kimmel prank. CNN didn't try too hard to get anything right while reporting the Boston bombing, and KTVU, the San Francisco Fox affiliate, definitely didn't do any fact-checking when it broadcast information confirmed by the National Transportation Safety Board that the pilots of the Asiana flight that crashed at SFO were Sung Ting Wong et al. The racist person who pulled the prank also didn't work too hard in coming up with those names. When Edward Snowden revealed that the U.S. government had been gathering data on Americans' emails, texts, and phone calls, Americans decided that getting upset was too much work. Egypt decided that democracy was too much work. Detroit decided that being a city was too much work and declared bankruptcy. Trayvon Martin's jury decided that justice was too hard, and George Zimmerman decided that not getting arrested again this year was too hard. Lance Armstrong gave up the ruse and told Oprah that he cheated. Not on Sheryl Crow, but with the performance enhancement drugs, although that with Sheryl Crow thing might have happened too. Oh, I love the Haunted Mansion. And another thing about our culture and our final story here on Do You Know Dat? Do you know Dat about how we are going haunted house crazy? Yes, Halloween is long gone, but in this article by Lily Rothman for Time magazine, she mentions the Headless Horseman hayrides and haunted houses in Ulster Park, New York, which is 45 acres and has 6 haunted houses. The people working behind the scenes have 250 two-way radios and a split-screen array of security cameras that watch over the premises. It becomes more challenging to scare people, says Jim Schopf, an owner of Field of Screams near Lancaster, Pennsylvania. When we started this, we took our cornfield motopath, bought some masks, and scared people by jumping out of the corn. That doesn't do it anymore. Haunting has become an entire miniature economy of vendors and artisans. The industry even has a trade group, the Haunted Attraction Association, or the HAA. A schism among scarers about things like officer term limits has led some haunters to reject the HAA. In 2008, the Haunters Trade Show announced that it would spin off from the general Halloween retail show. Its first year, it drew about 100 exhibitors and 1,500 buyers. Now those numbers are close to 800 and 8,000. A culture of normalized violence, often shown in realistic CGI, may be to blame for why haunted houses have ramped it up. Kids today, it takes so much more to get them to that fear reaction. They see violence in the movies, they see it in playing video games. The links between Hollywood and the haunted house industry are particularly extensive. Film trends lead haunt trends, and given the current zombie zeitgeist, blood and guts are on moviegoers' menus. As our culture gets more sexualized and more violent, you see it in Halloween, which is basically an expressive holiday, or you see it in haunted houses. Ghost shows date back centuries, and American trick-or-treating traditions were commercialized in the post-World War II suburbs. But the hardcore Halloween of today is only decades old. In the 1970s, urban legends and scattered reports of Halloween violence made the holiday more ominous, a time where it wasn't safe to be on the streets. But I was, as a kid in the 70s, trick-or-treating. Yeah, some kids knocked me down and took my candy, but I was okay. Just my pride was hurt. My teeth appreciated my candy being stolen, however. Between the 1969 opening of the Tame for Today Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, the grandfather of the commercial haunt, and John Carpenter's 1978 Shockfest Halloween, the decade started putting forth new visions of Halloween-adjacent horror, driving the growth of pay-to-enter haunts. At haunted houses all across the U.S., silicone masks that closely resemble skin and can cost hundreds of dollars have largely replaced latex ones. Projectors create walls crawling with bugs. Flat screens make haunted windows. Fog and lights create swamp rooms. Hidden laser beams tripped by visitors as they pass trigger the action. An animatronic monster with a live actor usually inside is called a shocktronic. For $3,770, a company called the Horror Dome will sell you one. A robotic, huge zombie mom that births a human being in a bloody flesh leotard and baby mask. Yeesh. In one haunted house, visitors are tracked with radio frequency identification tags, and if they granted access to their Facebook pages, photos of their friends would appear on the walls as they made their way through the house. Yes, I get scared to death when I see my Facebook friends, too. As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The podcast picture is of Basil the Boxer and I wishing you a happy new year, looking back at the year 2013, the year of the selfie. And so there is a selfie, which Basil looks like he's actually smiling for the picture. It's pretty funny. Even dogs get selfies. How strange. But you can see that picture now at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Mike Matthews, I hate selfies.
Why?
Because it's like so selfish to have a selfie.
You know, all the spit that's on my face, I'm going to need a rag.
Mike Matthews, that's like so mean.
All right, I won't use a rag? Is this like some kind of exfoliation process?
That's disgusting.
Goggles, then. Mike, I think Chely is right. Selfies are selfish. Why do we need to take pictures of ourselves? That's why we have mirrors. So are mirrors selfish? I don't know. What should I say, John Deere? As little as possible. Tomorrow, we will bring you the return of the segment Wow Shits Wow. Plus, we'll hear from Benita, the disgruntled fiddle player, and the brewmaster. That was so mean, John Deere. I meant it with love. Don't tell me what to do. 2013, done. Stick a fork in that stupid superstitious year. Done. Let's move on. 2014. It's an election year for the senators and Congress people and such. Okay. We can deal with that. 2013, though, in the history books. Miley Cyrus and her buzzed cut hairdo in the history books. Oh, gosh. And people are starting to wear her hairstyle. And nobody can pull it off. Nobody. Miley can't pull it off. It's, I could pull it off. Most of my, I'm bald. So you would just need to build that long-haired part. And then the rest, it would work.
Mike Matthews, I want to have nightmares now.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year from Floyd the Floorman! Happy New Year from John Deere the engineer.
Happy New Year from Chely Shoehart. Yay, it's not the last show. Of all time, I mean. It's going to continue. When it should stop. Just like me.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!